When I was 9 years old, I went up to my father and I remember asking him, Dad, do you like your job? And he kind of smiled and he said, No, not really. And I said, then why do it? And for him, it was a teachable moment. He turned his chair toward me and he kind of knelt down closer to me and he said, Rod, he said, the best thing you can do in life is find a job, show up every day on time, clock out at the end of the day, and make sure you can take care of your family. And then he turned his chair back around, and that was the teachable moment. And I remember thinking, even as a young child, I was quite young, I remember thinking, I don't want that life. I remember thinking, I don't want to have to go to a job that I don't like for most of my life. The Monday through Friday monotony. I just remember thinking, I don't want that. And Dad did take good care of our family. And he did many jobs that he didn't care for. But he always showed up. He always punched in. He always punched out. He took care of his family the best he could. But even in my father, there was a lot of wasted potential. He had these really good ideas and he would get himself involved in these really pretty cool projects that if they would have went just a little further, I think they could have been substantial, or at least they could have paid for themselves, so to speak. But he was stuck in this 9-to-5 pattern. He clung to making sure he had a paycheck, and he would sacrifice these potential goals, ambitions, projects that could have grown into something. He would sacrifice those for the security of that 9-to-5 paycheck. And I totally get that we need to take care of our families, and we need to make that income, we need to make that money so that we can take care of our responsibilities. I totally get that. I'm not suggesting that if you have a family that you say, oh, I'm going to give up my job completely and I'm going to just run after this dream, because dreams take a long time to become a reality, especially if they're going to give you a return on your investment. If you want to accomplish something, if you want to do something, keep your 9-to-5 if that's where you're at right now. But how are you spending your free time? What are you doing with your lunch hour or your lunch half an hour? What are you doing with your 15-minute breaks? What are you doing with your Saturdays and your Sundays? What are you doing when that 5 o'clock whistle blows? Are you just trudging home and sitting in your recliner and oh, turn on the game? Is that how you're spending your free time? When I worked in North Carolina, lived and worked in North Carolina there, I was a pest control operator. I was an exterminator. I took care of bugs and mice and and ants and spiders and stuff like that. And bees. Bees were the fun job. And that was my 9-to-5. But that wasn't my real job. Now, obviously, I went there 9-to-5 and I did a very good job. I was one of the highest paid employees that the company had because I did a good job. I worked hard during that 9-to-5. But when that 5 o'clock whistle blew, I didn't just drag myself home and sit in my chair and turn on a movie. Oh, that was the time. Oh, now's my freedom. Now's my time to work towards my goals. Now's the time to get my classes done. Now's the time to get my homework done. Now's the time to dive into a project, to work on something. What am I going to accomplish during my free time? You look at how someone spends their free time, and you can have a really good idea if they're going to be successful or not, or if they're going to be stuck in that 9-to-5 monotonous mentality. And hey, if that's all you want to do and do your 9-to-5 and just make that paycheck and just take care of the family, that's okay. I mean, there's something very noble in that. There's other people that don't even go that far. There's something noble in saying, I'm going to sacrifice even my dreams and ambitions for my family. I'm not saying that's not a worthy cause, but that free time, that is your time to realize some goals if you have some. If you have some ambitions, if you have some goals, I want to know, what are you doing Saturday morning? I want to know, what are you doing Sunday afternoon? Are you working on that book? Are you taking 15 minutes a day? Are you taking a half an hour a day to go out in the garage and work on that project? Are you making those emails? Are you making those phone calls? Are you putting plans on paper? What are you doing that is actually an investment in yourself and into your future so you get that return later? Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't have some downtime. I have a personality myself where I can go, and if I don't take a little downtime once in a while, I can edge onto the verge of burnout, and that's not a fun place to be. But it is pretty amazing how little downtime we actually need. Some people think they need an equal amount of downtime to their work time. Like, I work 9 to 5, so after that, just everybody leave me alone. I need my downtime. I had a friend growing up where I didn't go over to his house very much, but when I did, it was just a different experience. You saw how the family worked, and I'm sure you had that experience when you would visit friends' houses when you were a kid. But I do remember I would see his dad come home, and his dad was kind of a scary guy. He was quiet, kind of grumpy, that kind of guy. And us little kids, we'd scatter, when he would come home. We didn't want to annoy him or get in his way. He'd come home, and we'd see him come home, and we'd kind of be quiet, He would come in, and he'd say hi to my friend's mom, his wife. He would take his plate of food, and he'd go in his bedroom, and he'd close the door. I remember watching that. I'm like, what is he doing? I think I asked my friend one time if his dad was sick, like ill, because in my house, you went to your bedroom during non-sleeping time because you were sick. Sometimes to play if we were little kids, but to go in the bedroom, close the door, be quiet, that was when you were sick in my house. And he just was like, no, that's just what Dad does. So what my friend's dad would do is he would go to that 9 to 5, come home, get his plate of food, go in his bedroom, close the door, shut himself off to the family, the world, so to speak, turn on that TV. You could hear the TV. And then he'd fall asleep in there, get up the next morning, do it all over again. And like my dad, when he told me the best thing I could do was find a job, show up every day, punch in, punch out, make a paycheck, I remember seeing that also in my friend's dad and be like, I do not want that life. That is not what I want to do. So I want to encourage you that if you're kind of stuck in that 9 to 5 mentality, if you're stuck in this, I just got to work for the man to make it. Sometimes you do have to clean toilets. I get that. I've cleaned my share of toilets. Sometimes you have to do what you really don't want to do, and sometimes for a long time, to make sure your family and your responsibilities are taken care of. There is nobility in that, and if you're doing that and you're doing it consistently, good on you. But don't sacrifice your potential. Don't sacrifice what you think you were designed for this world to see, what you are supposed to give this world. And I guarantee, if you're a human being, it's more than just a paycheck. You are more than just a paycheck. You have something to offer this world. Could be a book, could be an idea, could be a project, could be an invention, could be a movement of some sort, could be a teaching, could be an influence, whatever. It could be something. You got something. What are you doing with your free time? Are you using your free time, your Saturdays, your Sundays, your lunch times, your breaks, your whatever it is, whatever your free time is, what are you doing with it? Take some of that time. I'm not saying all of it, because we do need some downtime once in a while, but you don't need that much, honestly. Take some of that time. Take half. Take half of that time. If you're not using any of that time, take 25%. Take just a Saturday afternoon or whatever it is, and say, you know what, I'm going to work towards this goal. I'm going to do the next step in that goal. And I guarantee momentum will build. You might get excited about it, and all of a sudden that growth in reaching that goal is it's just gonna go up like crazy. But it's gonna happen on your free time. That's where it starts, on those breaks, on those weekends. How are you using your free time today? Is it to reach a goal, or is it just to relax down into the 9 to 5 mentality? Because that is not how we reach our goals. Reach your goal today. Use your break time for the next step and what to do to reach your goal.